Last week we put your money on autopilot, 3 buckets, quietly filling themselves while you sleep. And a lot of you wrote back with the same honest reply. That's lovely, but what if I'm not floating at all? What if I'm drowning? Because here's the quiet thing nobody says. Every system I've shown you so far assumes you're already above the surface. Automate the flow, age your money, fill the buckets. All of it assumes there's money left to move. But if there's a stack of debt sitting on your chest, you don't need a smarter budget. You need a ladder out. And today's book is exactly that. A ladder. One rung at a time. Here's the twist that made me love it and argue with it in the same breath. The most famous rung on this ladder is mathematically wrong, on purpose, and it works precisely because it's wrong. I'm the monocle, and this is the Budget Wars, where the great money books argue with each other, and you walk away with what actually works, no matter which shelf you're standing on. Stay to the end, and I'll hand you the same free one-page plan I always do, this time set up as a debt ladder, every step in order. No app, no bank login, ever. And the third step today is the contrarian one, the mathematically wrong move. It's the step that quietly gets people out of debt when the clever, correct method has failed them for years. Let's start with the shape of the whole ladder, because that alone is the medicine. This book takes the terrifying question, how do I fix all of this? And refuses to let you look at all of it. Instead, baby steps. One tiny task at a time, in a fixed order. You're never allowed to worry about step 4 while you're standing on step 1. Focus is the entire trick. And step 1 is almost insultingly small. Before you attack a single debt, you scrape together a little starter cushion, roughly 1,000, a small buffer, and you park it. Why so small? Because life doesn't pause while you climb out. A tire blows, a tooth cracks, and without that little cushion, you'd reach for a credit card and undo everything. The cushion is what stops the bleeding between the rungs. With that cushion in place, we reach step 2, and this is where the book gets famous, and a little bit reckless. It's about to tell you to ignore the one number every finance expert screams at you to watch. Here it is. Step 2. The Debt Snowball. And it starts by asking you to do something that feels almost stupid. List every debt you have. Smallest balance at the top, largest at the bottom. Notice what you did not sort by. Interest rate. You ignore it entirely. The card charging you a fortune could sit at the bottom of the list, and the book says, leave it there. Now the mechanics. You pay the minimum on everything, keep every wolf from the door, and then you take every spare pound you can find and hurl all of it at the smallest debt on top. You attack that little debt like it insulted your mother. And soon, quickly, because it was small, it's gone, dead, crossed off. That's your first snowball, packed tight. Here's the roll. The money you were throwing at that dead debt doesn't go back to your life. It rolls straight onto the next smallest debt, on top of its minimum. Same fist, now bigger. And it snowballs, literally. Each debt you kill adds its old payment to the next attack. By the time you reach that big, scary debt at the bottom, you're not flicking pennies at it. You're rolling a boulder. The payment amount never really rises. You're not finding new money. You're just concentrating the same money onto one target at a time, instead of spreading it thin across all of them forever. Now, a mathematician watching this is on their feet, furious. Because on paper, this order is the worst one you could pick, and they are completely right. So why on earth does it work better than the correct way? That's step 3. Here's the maths, fair and square. If you're purely optimizing, you should attack the highest interest rate first, the debt that's growing fastest, no matter its size. Do that, and you pay less in total. Cleaner, cheaper, correct. So the book knows it's giving you the more expensive answer. It admits it, flatly, and then it says the line that reframes this entire channel. Personal finance is only about 20% head knowledge and 80% behaviour. And if we were creatures of pure maths, none of us would be in debt in the first place. We'd have run the spreadsheet and simply obeyed it. But nobody obeys the spreadsheet. So the snowball optimizes the thing that actually decides whether you finish: your motivation. Kill the smallest debt first, and within weeks you get a win, a real, visible, crossed-off victory. And a human who is winning keeps going. The correct method gives you no such thing. You throw everything at the biggest, nastiest debt, and 8 grim months later, it has barely moved. You feel nothing. You feel worse. And feeling nothing is exactly how people quit. You've heard me say this before in every episode. The perfect plan you abandon in March loses to the flawed plan you're still running in December. The snowball is that flawed plan you'll actually finish. So yes, it's mathematically wrong. It cost you a little more. And it's the version that gets far more people to the top of the ladder because it's built for humans, not for calculators. But the snowball only rolls if you feed it. And that brings us to the book's other engine, the one that's less about arithmetic and more about mood. It wants you angry. It wants you intense. The idea is this: stop treating your debt like a long, comfortable background hum you'll deal with someday. Start treating it like an emergency, like your hair is on fire, like something chasing you that you have to outrun now, because someday debt lasts forever. It becomes furniture. You stop seeing it. But an emergency gets your full, undivided ferocity, and ferocity is what shortens 20 years into 2. And intensity means a temporary, deliberate hardness. For a season, not forever, you cut deep. No restaurants, no holidays, the extra shift. Sell the things that are quietly draining you. It's uncomfortable, and that's the point. The book's phrase for the money you free up is simple. It becomes ammunition. Every restaurant you skip, every extra hour you work, that's not deprivation. That's another coin loaded into the fist that's beating your debt to death. And here's the beautiful mechanical loop. Every debt you kill frees its old payment, which makes the next attack bigger, which kills the next debt faster, which frees even more. The thing accelerates the closer you get, so the start is the hardest part, and the end is a stampede. Most methods feel slowest near the finish. This one feels fastest, because by then you're hurling nearly your whole income at one final debt. But here's the part the book almost buries, the reason it insists on the wins over the maths. Something changes in you on the way up this ladder, long before the debt is gone. And it's the whole reason it sticks. Watch. What changes is that you learn you can do hard things with money. The first crossed-off debt teaches you the second is possible. The snowball isn't really rolling over your debts, it's rolling over your own doubt. So let's assemble the ladder. Step 1. A small starter cushion, roughly 1,000, so life can't knock you back down. Step 2. The debt snowball, smallest to largest. Minimums on all, everything at the top 1. Step 3. Once the debts are dead, build that cushion up properly. Several months of real expenses, so emergency, never means debt again. And step 4. Now, finally, you turn and invest. The buckets from last week, this is when they start filling for good. And in fairness, because that's what we do here, the mathematicians have a real point. If cold optimization is what keeps you motivated, run the other version. Attack the highest interest rate first. Same ladder, cheaper climb. It's called the Avalanche. So pick your engine honestly. If you love the spreadsheet, take the Avalanche and save the money. But if you're one of the millions the spreadsheet already failed, take the snowball, take the wins, and just get out. So here's your move for this week. I've laid this whole ladder onto that same free one-page plan, your £1,000 cushion, every debt in order, smallest to largest, ready to cross off. It's free, it lives in Google Sheets or Notion, and it still never asks for your bank login. The link is waiting below. Then do one thing tonight. Write down your smallest debt, just that one, and tell me the number in the comments. Not the scary big one. The little one you could kill first. That's your snowball's first snowflake. And I'll ask the honest question too. Are you a snowball person or an avalanche person? Wins or maths? Tell me which, and be truthful about which one you'd actually finish. And next episode, the strangest turn in this whole series. After all these methods, the budgets, the buckets, the ladders, we finally go and look at the people who actually got rich. And they're nothing like you'd picture. In fact, they're almost boring. I'll see you there.